So, welcome everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Morning Tea. Today, I'm very excited to have Julianna with us. I met Julianna at a class for teaching kids and teens how to meditate through lifestyles meditations. And ever since, Julianna has just sort of been this beautiful presence in my life. We were just talking about how nice it is to just know that people are out there who are, like-minded and supportive, and that even if you don't see them for a year, you can lean in and say, hey, you want to come do a talk show with me? And they're just going to be there like that. So welcome, Julianna.
Oh, gosh, it's so nice to be here and just share space with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Julianna, what do you have in your cup today?
Ooh, this is so funny because you did pre-warn me that we might have that. Reheated coffee from 7:15 this morning.
I always joke that it's
oh, you know what? She's going to ask me, like, what am I going to, maybe I'll make some, no, you're going to put up, which is reheated old coffee.
Let's be real, right?
This is lovely. And it's in a cup that says, enjoy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm also drinking coffee this morning. Maybe I should have named this segment the morning coffee. I don't know. But I got to show you guys this mug that I got at Indigo. And it's got hustle crossed out and a line in its place, which I love. This concept really speaks to me, where, abundance doesn't come from the hustle. Abundance comes from the alignment. And I'm a firm believer in that.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's not a lead into our conversation today.
Oh, perfect. So Julianna, can you introduce yourself? Let everybody know what it is. Who are you and what is it that you do?
Yeah. So I am Julianna Bootsman, and my company is White Box Leadership. I'm a conscious leadership coach, facilitator, speaker, consultant. But the essence of what I do is about bringing love and humanity into the workplace. But I can narrow that down even further, is just really supporting us to live from the true essence of our I. Our I is in who am I? Our I is in like the divine I knowing, and being able to bring that into total right aligned action in what we do. And I believe that when we live in complete alignment and connection to our being, our doing then occurs at the highest level of service and just everything it needs to be. And the trying in it is removed. And we're able to just really connect into this perfect compass of the alignment of those two things that helps us navigate our path. So your cup about alignment,
right,
is the whole point. I mean, the hustle is a human game. The alignment is the whole game.
Yeah.
The alignment is the whole game of human and divine. And that's the game. That's the life that I desire to live. So that's the path I've been on for my whole life, not knowing it. And the path I consciously got on probably about, I don't know, it's probably 20 years ago now. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you talk about being versus doing. Can you speak a little bit more about that and what that looks like?
Yeah. So I have a workshop that I teach called The Relationship of Being and Doing. And I'm actually going to be teaching it on an online summit coming up here. It's called the Spring Business Summit, Small Business Summit. We can share a link or whatever at some point if you want.
Well, yeah.
But and I've taught it before, but I use it in my coaching and my teaching as well. But I also use it as my own navigating system. So there's two parts that make us up as human. We have our being, we have our doing. In even the name human being, these two are divided. Our human side of us is very much our action, physical part. Our being side of us is our divinity. It is our true nature. It is our connection to the essence of who we are. So we are made up of these two parts. And often, because we live in a very dense physical world, the human side of it, the physical side of it, the doing side of it takes precedence and begins to run the show. And our being gets a back seat. Often we shame it. Often we're not as connected to it. And so being able to come into alignment with those two of things and recognize how they're in relationship with each other. And they're both talking to each other. So in the workshop I teach, I actually guide us through how do we hear what our doing is trying to tell us, and how do we hear what our being is trying to tell us, and allow them to have a relationship talking back and forth. And so our physical world, our physical body is speaking and teaching us all of the time. And it's trying to tell us what we need. So we see this manifested in when we get sick, when all of a sudden we get tired, and maybe it's a major illness, maybe it's just a cold, when things in our physical world sometimes start to break down or happen or whatever, or when things are like really exciting and extraordinary too. It can be all of it, but it's giving us data and information. So when we're aware to that, then we can go, oh, what's it trying to tell my being?
Right.
What it actually needs. So it's, and if our being listens to our doing, we can follow and navigate the path that's in our physical world. And then when our doing listens, then we also are able to see like, oh, this is how I need to shift and adjust and maybe pull back out of the hustle and step more into the alignment, or go like, it shouldn't be this hard. I need to shift over here.
Right.
And that's not to say that things aren't challenging, but there hits a point sometimes where you're like, something here does not feel right. And so it's this relationship. How do we listen and hear both sides of us? So that's sort of a quick, maybe just if those words feel like foreign, or, being and doing, what does that mean? How is it? But another way that I can share that is Haley Rushing from the Purpose Institute shared this at a conference I was at, and I asked her, I said, can I use that? And you shared that so beautifully. And so the way that I share this is that we have being and we have doing. We have doing and we have being. We have purpose, we have presence, we have action, and we have contemplation. We have this desire to save the world, and then we have savoring the world. And
I love that.
It's both parts working and all the time. And so it's not just all contemplation and no action. It's not just all action and no contemplation. It's not just this desire to like save the world and serve and serve and serve. It is the essence of being able to savor it in the whole journey of the thing. And so this like, grind it out, just do it, we got to go. I'm like, it doesn't work if we don't first savor.
Yeah.
So I think your question of like, what's in our cup, and can I just savor this like old cup of coffee? And I can. So
I think to speak to that, the old cup of coffee is even more savorable when it has been reheated, because you've been sipping on it cold for a while.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to ask you, do you think that this, being versus doing, and the manifestations of not being present in your being, do you think that can also manifest on a societal scale, like what we're seeing right now? Like, is this a product of our society perhaps not sinking into the being and being too focused on the doing?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Life is about the individual and the collective.
Yeah.
And we have been a very self-centered society for the past 50, maybe even 100 years, however long.
Yeah.
We've seen a drastic change in our environment, in the world around us. And the more it's again, the both, right? So the being is very much that centered, and then the doing is, how do I share it outwards? Right. I think that absolutely we have been experiencing that on the collective, and that there's many reasons for that. And it's rightfully understood why we as humans I'm sure you've heard maybe people say like, we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Right.
We are, people have become rewarded greatly for the amount that they can do, for the amount that they can get done, for how much productivity they can put out, for, you know, even the notion of like scaling and, you know, it's not just enough to have this, you have to make it all of this.
Right.
Like, and you're a business owner, right? Like, it's not just enough to serve this community. I'm not worth anything. My value is connected to, yes, but can I mass produce this and get it in the hands of like the more shops, the more people, the more things, the more is attested to my value and my worth. And that is the world and the society that we've lived in. That is what's become rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the same way, so that's outside of us. That's what we've witnessed. That's what's been taught to us. I grew up as a dancer. That was my first profession. And I wasn't the best, most talented dancer. I wasn't the person that won all the trophies. But I loved it deeply. It was absolutely a soul experience for me. The first time I think I would say that I had my first God experience was when I was 15 or 16 at a dance convention. And it was the first time I had felt myself let go of myself so that I could just move at the full expression of who I was.
Yeah.
And in the moment, my capacity, my capabilities, and my improved. My ballet teacher was sitting on the side and she's like, Julianna, I have never seen you move like that. But I didn't have to train any harder. I didn't have to do anything else. I actually had to do less and let go of all of the shit that I was trying to be and just fully surrender to who I could be in that moment. And I was like tears were running down my face. My ballet teacher was crying, like people felt it.
Yeah.
And so where like, that's what happens when we connect into our being. Our doing magnifies with ease, but it doesn't feel like it was any more work.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I just got chills through my whole body. That's such a beautiful story.
And so I think we are redefining our new world.
Yeah.
You know, our prophets, our spiritual teachers, our leaders. I mean, I think I've got on my shelf back here, you know, Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. All of our sages and our prophets and our spiritual leaders and our teachers and the wisdom keepers have been telling us this story for a very long time of what is possible. I mean, you can't watch a Disney movie without hearing what's been trying to be told to us.
Yeah, it's true.
Like World Tour that just came out, the new movie Trolls. We watched it on the first day with my kids. And I was like, and there's the story again.
Yeah.
Like, children's stories need to come out trying to tell us how to do this whole new world. And, but we've been living in another paradigm for a very long time. So it's rewiring those neural pathways. And we know that through meditation and mindfulness of like what that means. And so this reconnection, this developing a stronger, more trusted relationship with our being allows us to then begin to redefine within our own nucleus of our, whatever is our world, you know, of our 10, 15, 100 people within our world, and then begin to witness how that might shift the collective. But we live in a world that is absolutely consumed with doing, and more on the Western side than the Eastern side. So there's a lot of, we can look at even the difference between religion and faith. The Western religions are very connected and focused on tradition, you know, certain, and I'm saying rituals, the dogma of like, you have to do this before you do this, before you do this, or you're not accepted here.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to dress in this way. You have to show up in this way, blah, 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 or someone's going to think you're not. And I still find that is the case.
Yeah.
We've made reverence and respect about the things of how we show up on the outside rather than really what's happening on the inside. Mm-hmm. But yet the Eastern faiths and on the Eastern, they maybe have been so connected to, much more connected into their being, that the action of it hasn't always shown up in a way that's really supported that ability to create movement that allows us to have more of a sustainable way of life either. So it's the connection of them both. It's not just one or the other.
Right. Absolutely.
So that was a lot of there to your one little question, but
no, that's great. Actually, I just want to quickly sidebar for a second for everyone watching. to circle back around to your experience with dance and just mention that if you have not experienced ecstatic dance in your life and you are looking for a cathartic way to connect and move energy, I just really highly recommend that. And what
Yeah.
ecstatic dance is, you know, putting on some great dancing music and just moving how your body is telling you to move. There's no rules to it. There's no, you know, sidestep, kick. It's just literally allowing your body to take whatever form the music is calling it to. And I got to tell you, it's one of my most favorite ways to meditate. So I can't speak highly enough about that. And I really felt that from the story you shared. So
I'm so glad you shared that. I'm even glad that you used the word, it's one of my favorite ways to meditate.
yeah,
I don't even know if I give myself permission to see it as that all the time, even though I know 100% that's absolutely what it is for me. One of my best friends and I were talking about this yesterday. She is a mental skills coach and trainer, and her platform is the dance community, and she's doing incredible work there. And she took part in a online convention this weekend with Stacey Tukey, who's remarkable and known from like So You Think You Can Dance and stuff like that as a choreographer. Anyway, they took some improv classes. She was taking some improv classes. And so improv is being able to allow yourself to connect in freely and allow yourself to move as the music moves you.
yeah,
And I think like ecstatic dance, or whatever you want to call it, when you hear a song, when you put on a song and you're like, my being wants to do something right now.
yeah.
Meditation in that practice is, how far can you let yourself go so you can find yourself?
Yeah,
How
I love
far can
that.
you let yourself go so you can find yourself? Because it feels so freaking good.
So good.
But I can tell you, like, I grew up as a dancer, and often trained dancers can have a harder time letting ourselves go because we're so connected to the perfection of it needing to look a certain way so it can
Right.
be accepted.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful experience for me to understand what I call like my edges that I'm trying to move through, or where do I see, oh my God, there's a fake boundary I just put up.
Yeah.
Nobody's even here. I mean, my neighbors might think I'm the crazy one because I don't always close all my blinds, and like, who's the lady that's like dancing at weird times. But just allowing yourself to move and feel like, wow, that feels weird and different, and how far can I go, and why do I care? And then you meet all these mental constructs within yourself, like
Absolutely.
judging it and going like, you're like, who is even judging me right now? Nobody. Let's just let it go. So
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful experience. And
Yes.
I'm glad that you brought this up, and I find this a fun topic. So I'm going to riff on it a little bit longer. Because if there's somebody that I have met, many people who have feel in their soul like they are a dancer, but never felt like they could dance because they didn't fit into the studio world. They didn't look like somebody that would be called a dancer or a trained dancer. So they never really danced, or they couldn't because they couldn't fit into the system, the institution that was dance, the art of dance.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, man, if there is a part of you that feels like you hear music and you want to move and
Yeah.
trust in that.
Yeah. I have a friend who teaches ecstatic dance, or I shouldn't say teaches, she facilitates classes. And something that she'll say is that even stillness is a form of dance. And she'll encourage people, you know, if you're uncomfortable with just the thought of it, like just come and be, like just even if you just want to sit in, and maybe you're in total stillness, maybe you're just tapping into the music and letting it move you inside. And then maybe you might feel called to move, and maybe
Yes.
you won't, and that's okay too. You can just sit and have the dance internally, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And that's where it's like the power in the pause.
Yeah.
And in dance, one of the things I most love is you can see when someone stands still with such attention
Yeah.
and such just certainty or presence that it's like, oh, there is so much happening there right now that's absolutely conscious and attentive, that it is the dance. Richard Rohr speaks about, and I think he has a book actually called The Divine Dance.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. And I have been reflecting and contemplating on this, even in the past few days. I mean, it's something I think, but it's been high on my consciousness this last few days. As I, each morning at 7:15 a.m. on Instagram, I do a morning contemplative teaching and prayer, like short. I usually am keeping it to like 10 minutes, but it just brings us into our being. And one of the things I usually share every morning is, may my eyes be clear, may my ears be clear, my voice be clear, and may the way I move through space be clear and free.
Beautiful.
And so in that feeling, what that means to me, it's like every movement is a dance.
Yeah.
Every way, if I could move through the world, how my body just takes up space and moves through the world, and every action can feel like a dance, is where, is ultimately what we call that divine presence. And that when we're really in that place of living a contemplative life and being connected into our being, everything is ceremony, everything is ritual, everything is connected. And it's like, it's so simple and so amazing. Even as I talk about it right now, I'm like, oh, it feels good.
Yeah.
Why not live like that?
Absolutely.
And so I love that you shared. And in the stillness, yesterday I was out, I took a walk out in the country, and I was sat for a bit, and I was laughing, going, gosh, I feel like I'm so juvenile sometimes, like sitting here in a field and just being like, and just like in awe of the stuff. And I'm just looking at the grass and just thinking like it's half dead, but starting to come alive. And then I started to see like an ant moving. And then I saw a ladybug, and then I saw something else. And immediately I thought, wow, the grass looks so still, like it's doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there's all this life in it.
Yeah.
And so as you said that, it brought me to that moment of going, we can be totally alive and dancing in our being.
Yeah.
Just by being present with whatever that moment is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's circle back around. We took a totally sidebar there, but it was so worthwhile because I could talk about dance for, hours. So we had touched base earlier, and you were talking to me about the loving way, and the 4 elements that sort of fit in with that. So I want to hear more about that that program, that line of thinking that you're playing with right now.
Yeah. So one of the things, so within the work that I do, bringing it into leadership and just all of us and how we lead our own lives, and what does it really mean to choose love, not fear? And we hear that all the time, and it's what we desire. And, I've got Marianne Williamson's book on the back there that says is about return to love. How do we actually do that? And I know in my own life, it has been my pursuit in this world is to know love in all ways and to live fully through that. And I think that, and I also find it hard, like, how do I do that? And so as I sat with that and wanted to support myself to understand that more deeply, of how do I actually lead and live my life the loving way? How do I choose love in each moment? Because I don't actually think we choose fear.
Right.
I think fear happens because nobody wants to sit in that. And then it's like, and then now that we live in a world that is fearful, and it has its dents, and there's lots of stuff. So how do I come out of that? So there's 4 things that I focus on with that is, one is to listen from the heart, to speak from the heart. So I'll say all 4 and then we can kind of circle back. Listen from the heart, speak from the heart, get to the heart of the matter, and then hold it with a sacred heart. And holding it with a sacred heart might be the most important of all of them. And I use these as agreements that I set before I lead a facilitation or anything like that. And we kind of talk through them. But holding with a sacred heart is the piece around that could also be called confidentiality. But it's holding it with a sacred heart, going, how do I actually hold my life with a sense of sacredness? How do I, when I'm in conversation with you, that I can hold this space with a sense of sacredness, that creates an opening and an expansion for both of us to grow into, to be able to grow into our being. And I heard this yesterday on a course I'm doing with on Mary Magdalene, and I couldn't remember where the reference came from because it was hard to hear in the description. But they basically said that to be able to hold ourselves in a way that supports others to be able to expand in their being allows us to come into more enlightened ways of meaning and understanding, more enlightened ways of meaning.
Yeah.
And anything that confines or constricts our being then actually takes us back into old patterns of meaning.
Yeah.
And so that sacredness is a way that we actually attend to the energy around everything that supports everything else, then supports us to be able to listen from our heart, speak from our heart, and get to the heart of the matter.
Right. Yeah, I find that when emotions get heightened, just like trying to step back and see it there instead of here, and, you know, center, and yeah, it just makes a world of difference. And I have to say, during this time when we are in our family units more often with each other, in, you know, with heightened emotions around, you know, what is happening, and just change in routine and all of these things, that skill has become so vital to the well-being of my family unit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, you know, we get to look at it as a skill. We're not necessarily always taught to love, on how to love.
Yeah.
And we live in a world that isn't always demonstrating and attentive to what that really means. Our humanness, all of those other things kind of get fogged and get in the way, and all these layers get put on, and then we're acting from a place that isn't at our true essence.
Right.
So it really is the undoing, the unlearning, the returning to love. But the intention, when we set the intention that this is how I desire to live, I want to live my life in a loving way, that if we connect into these four principles and even contemplate on them, the wisdom within us will begin to become revealed. And the act of meditation, the ability to create the space. So contemplation is the act of waiting patiently for the gaps to be filled in, and not forcing them, or putting our own will for something to happen.
Yeah.
And so that one of the tools that we use is even a 3-second pause of a conscious breath. Maybe I can end us today with 3 breaths, with just 3 breaths that I'll guide us through.
Yeah.
But create space between me and the thing, that gives it enough room to then come back into the sacredness of it, to tend into my own heart, to ask so that I may hear and see, and listening from a global context, not the contextual, because we get hung up on the words. We get hung up on the form. So we generally listen from a very form dense place that doesn't allow us to see the sacredness of it. And so being able to pull back and listen from that global context, that is how we connect into our heart.
Right.
And to be able to speak then, and really from the heart, allows us to be able to go, let me say and speak from the essence of who I am to the essence of what this thing is. And that requires space, breath, peace. And then get to the heart of it. Let's just talk about what this is really about, rather than all the shit outside of it that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
All of this probably is like, oh, well, hard to do. Like, dreamland, but it is absolutely possible when we set it out as our intention of what we desire. And then
can we touch on that? Like I love what you just said about when you're within it. Here's a skill to use, like here's something you can do to like step away. But I also know that, you know, a bigger part of the battle is getting out in front of it, you know, when you are feeling tapped in and aligned and all of these things. So like, what would you suggest as things that people can do so that when they get there, that they're already prepared to deal with this situation. Do you know what I mean? Am I being, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Carolyn Miss will say that intention without discipline is useless.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I love that quote.
We can talk all day long about how choose love, not fear, return to love. All we need is love, love, it's love.
Yeah.
We can say that all day long. We can write a million more songs and stories and everything about why that's the way, and nothing will change.
Yeah.
And so in coaching and some of the coaching work that I do, we connect into NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. But in that we say, if you're still using the word try, you're not quite there yet. And so we have to get to the root of, why does this matter to you in the first place? Why do you really want to choose love, not fear? Why is the loving way the way that for you is the way? And sit in the contemplation of that. Get really clear on, like, this is a vow, a commitment that you're making to yourself of, this is the way I'm going to live my life.
Yeah.
And so, and it is a vow, and you sit in that and you become connected to that. And then from there, the practice is like, if you decide you're going to be a runner, you run every day. Running is what you're called to do. And it is sitting in the practice. So what is your daily discipline of coming into prayer, coming into meditation, coming into journaling? Any of these tools can work for you. It's going that these are the things I'm going to want. So maybe it's as easy as every morning consciously choosing, I'm going to act through listen, speak, get to the heart, and hold everything sacred. And just reminding yourself, just to start there. Let me just do this is what matters to me. And I'm going to remind myself of that every morning. And then the other is, like, it all comes back to the breath.
Yeah.
If the one thing that becomes a part of your practice is that you take 5 minutes every morning to breathe into your heart, to connect into your heart, to go through these things, it will begin to start to shift and bolster your ability to lead a loving way and to come back. You're still going to mess it up probably about 100 times in the day. And by that, I'm like, there is really no mistakes, but you're still going to experience many times across the day where you're like, well, that did not feel loving.
Yeah.
That did not seem like the loving way. So now who am I? I mean, I deal with this all the time. And it's like, yeah. And then I return back. And every time that we return back, we've created a new neural pathway.
Right.
Rob Bell says that resilience is in the return. And so resilient, and this is in meditation, we learn that you create a new neural pathway every time you return, you return. So you're going to get like 100 times in a day to experience the return. And that's the point.
Yeah.
And then we learn to be able to listen and hear and attend into. So it's like, if this is the path that you desire to live, is the loving way, get clear on why that matters to you and why that's true. And then in that, it feels less of a chore to have to sit in your meditation, less of a chore to come back to breath, less of a chore to like sit for 5 minutes and look at the grass just because.
Yeah.
A chore to just be with the music when it comes up. And I'm saying a chore because sometimes we feel like we force ourselves into having to do it, or then we beat ourselves up because why we're not. But when we attend into, I'm like, every single time I do that, the act then becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. So. I like what you said. I think also we tend to beat ourselves up when we fail to meet the expectations we've set out for ourselves. So I really, really love what you said about the success being in the return. The success is in having had the failure, but recognizing it and recommitting, I love that.
Yeah. So that my thing is, get clear on the intention, why it matters to you, and then choose the tool that works for you. And there's going to be lots of tools that work for you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love it.
Yes. Do you have a friend with you?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that.
The little one. I've got 2 little ones at home.
Yeah.
They're on devices at the moment. Yes, they are.
He was 2, but he's got a timer on it, and I think it's timed out. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's what do you want people like that? This was just such a beautiful introduction, and I know we've gone way over time and like so worth it. So I'm not complaining. But what do you want people to know? Like, what have you got on the table right now that you want people to know about?
Yeah. Well, I've got with this conference coming up. And it's an online summit, and you get access to all of the speakers, all of the content, everything for, I think until October, a 90-day period either way. And so, yeah, people are welcome to go and check that out. It's called the Spring Online Small Business Summit, something like that. But I sent you the link.
Post the link. Yeah.
But so that I am coaching clients and working with clients one-on-one. And so they can reach out to me for a free, just a discovery session, a chat, to call and to connect in. If connecting into that place of being is something that they know, that's like, if you're questioning, like, who am I? Where am I? I'm struggling to find myself. Mm-hmm. And let's connect in on that conversation and just see where that goes. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. Beautiful. My more contemplative practice at 7:15 Monday to Friday, I'm doing on Instagram. So that's a quick little space where you can attend in and tune in the mornings and just start fresh. So yeah.
So also post your Instagram account here too. And is that on your White Box Leadership account?
White Box Leadership, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Anything else that you want to add?
No, I think it's just, this is our human vocation, is to connect into the essence of who we are and to live from a place of love. Yeah. And if we are being that, then we are doing all that we need naturally to impact this world in a positive way. So I thank you for being a beautiful light. It's been incredible to witness your journey.
Thank you.
Over the years. And you are an example, I think, that I've witnessed you from when we met, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Probably.
That watching how your radiance has continued to illuminate as you've continued to walk your path, I think, in more alignment of who you really are.
Oh,
and it's beautiful. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. And likewise, it's been, it's so amazing to experience this journey and to witness it alongside others who are also sharing their light. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for making space for the conversation.
Yeah, totally. So I've been asking everybody for an idea of an activity, and it might be, a personal reflection activity. It might be something that they can go out and do with their family. Something just to add some flavor to isolation. Maybe something you've done with your own family. Have you got something to suggest for us?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I think there are lots of wide open fields right now.
Yeah.
Wide open fields. The actual play parks that are constructed for us to try and tell us how to play are closed.
I love that.
The wide open fields are empty and open. And take your family, find one of the big fields that's available. Take yourself.
Yeah.
My son wanted to play golf, so we grabbed a golf ball and we went out to a big field and he hit the golf balls and then we ran. And it reminded me, my daughter is a fast little 6-year-old runner that I have to I'm not slowing myself down to run next to her. And I was reminded that I'm a sprinter.
Yeah.
I'm not a long distance runner. I love to sprint. And so she got me sprinting. And so it's like, find a wide open field and let yourself be in it however you desire.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to let you take us out with some breaths, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So one of the breaths I do in the mornings every day, and it was inspired for me from one of the books Mary Magdalene Revealed, and it's 3 breaths. So the first breath is as if it's like clearing out the channel. It's like as if you've got like a big duster that's just going to take out the dust and allowing it to clear all the way, and exhaling out to completion. And then as we take the new inhale, we witness the miracle that's there for us every single time. And we breathe in through the heart, imagining the breath's going through the heart. As you exhale it to completion, the second time, you allow it to settle into your heart, really settling into your heart. And the third breath, as you come in and breathe all the way through your heart again, is where you begin to radiate it out. And there. So clearing, cleaning, connecting into the heart, and then radiating it out. And I think if we only do this, we've done our greatest gift in the world.
Yeah.
So allowing yourself just to quickly find yourself in a centered position, a quick body scan, imagining like there's a layer of sun that's just quickly washing from the top of your face all the way down. And everywhere the sun hits, everything just rests and relaxes and comes into its very natural state. Taking in a full breath, clearing out that channel, exhaling out to completion. Taking in the next breath as you're breathing in, allowing it to pass through the heart, feeling into all that goodness and truth. As you exhale out to completion, allowing yourself to feel that resting into the heart. Feel welcome to put your hand on your heart if you're feeling called. Taking in the third breath. As it passes through the heart, feel how that energy expands out. And as you exhale out all the love and goodness and truth and essence of your being. And just slowly coming back into a natural yet full breath. If your eyes were closed, bring them back to attention. And an invitation to move through your day in this very connected way of being so present, yet so it feels slower, yet it's so on point that things often move a lot quicker.
That was beautiful. I feel like that's a perfect moment to take throughout the day when you need it as well. Yeah.
5 seconds probably. That probably took us 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just those 3 breaths.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I love you so much.
I love you. Thank you for being here. So grateful. Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being
here.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Friday, there will be no morning tea. I've got some other things going on that I'm excited to tell you about. But tune in Wednesday at 10 a.m. And Julianna, thank you again. I will be posting all the links to contact Julianna, get in touch with her, and a few of the other things that we talked about here. So you'll see those in the comments a little later once I move it over to YouTube. So, all right. Thank you again, Julianna.
You're beautiful. Take care. Have a beautiful day. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.